Greetings everybody, I hope that you guys are good. Let's have a very quick look at BTC USD, and we are on the monthly chart, as you guys can see. And the first thing that I can see in regards to the monthly chart is the fact that we have two opposing structures. Number one, we have this M structure over here, which has a neckline more or less at this point, and number two, we have this W structure over here, which similarly has a neckline at that level as well. Right? Can you guys see that? And based on previous videos, I'd said to you guys that whenever it comes to structures, ideally you want to see a price breaking to the bottom side of that neckline, heading back to that neckline to test it, and at that neckline is where we would look for potential selling opportunities. Similarly, when it comes to W structures, ideally we want to see a price breaking to the upside of that neckline, heading back to that line to test it, and at that neckline is where we would look for potential buying opportunities. Right, I hope what I've just said makes sense. Anyway, as I've just said, guys, price, as you guys can see, seems to be testing the neckline of the W structure, as you guys can see at this point, which indicates that we should potentially be looking for buying opportunities, guys. Right, to add to that, just also bear in mind that we have this candlestick over here. It is a bearish candlestick with a small body, or rather a relatively small body, and a relatively long lower wick. Right, so what this tells us is that where that wick ends at the bottom, which is over here at this level, there's a lot of liquidity sitting there. And as I've said to you guys, liquidity represents money that needs to be triggered by the market at one point or another. Right, anyway, let me just add my necklines for those structures, which is number one, the M structure, which we have over here. Just bear with me, guys, which we have over here more or less, as well as the W structure. Let's see, which we have more or less at this level over here. Can you guys see that? Right, can you guys see that? And just remember, guys, that necklines are not necessarily an actual line, but they are an area. So in other words, we can say that more or less this area over here is the neckline of, as I said, guys, there's W structure over here. Right, so as I said, we should potentially be looking for buying opportunities at this point. Having said that, remember that we also have that one candlestick at the bottom at this level, which is carrying a lot of liquidity at that point. Right, anyway, let's proceed. So from here, what I'm going to do is head down to the weekly chart, and here we are on the weekly chart. Let's have a look. What do we see on the weekly chart, guys? What do we see on the weekly chart that we should be paying attention to? Let's see, let me just zoom in a bit. Let's have a look. I'm just going to zoom in a bit. So here we are on the weekly chart, and the first thing that I can see in regards to the weekly chart is that price had created an M, or rather a W formation at that point. However, we saw price pushing further down. Right, let's have a look. What else do we see, guys? What else do we see? As I said, guys, just to recap, on the monthly chart I said that we have this W structure over here. Just bear with me. This W structure, which has a neckline at that level, guys. Right, and I said to you guys that we should potentially be looking for a buying opportunity at this point. Right, now that we are on the weekly chart, in as far as looking for potential buying opportunities goes, I really don't see much. However, as I said, guys, we had this W structure. However, we saw price pushing further down. Right, and what may actually happen is that price may still give us an actual W structure. Right, nonetheless, we'll see how things unfold over the next couple of weeks and even perhaps months. Right, to add to that, guys, as much as I'm saying that we have what seems to be a W structure at this point, just also bear in mind that we have an opposing structure in the form of an M structure over here. Can you guys see that? Which has also a neckline at that point more or less. Right, And as I've said earlier, guys, whenever it comes to M structures, you want to see price breaking the neckline to the bottom side, heading back to the neckline to test it, and at that neckline is where we would look for potential selling opportunities. So similarly, the neckline at this point has been broken to the bottom side, and we want to see price head up to the neckline to test it, and we might potentially look for selling opportunities at that neckline. However, having said that, just bear in mind that we have the structure as well, which is a very strong level of support, because it is the neckline, as I said, of this W structure, right? So in fact, we could actually say that now that we are on the weekly chart, buying or selling at this point would be a bit risky. Why do I say so? That is because, number one, we have the small M structure over here, right, which has a neckline at that point. Let me just draw it properly. A neckline at that point. And number two, we have an opposing W structure at that point, or that level, which also has a neckline at that level. So buying and selling at this point is also very much risky, right? In fact, let me just add a neckline for that M structure, because I believe it is a very important structure that we need to pay attention to. So just bear with me, guys, so we can say that that's the neckline of that smaller M structure that we have over here, right? So I hope what I've said makes sense, guys, but let me just repeat myself. Number one, just to go back, we have that huge W structure, which has a neckline at this level. Number two, we have a smaller M structure over here, which similarly has a neckline at that level, making this level over here a very risky area in regards to buying or selling, right? So what is the solution? What is the solution? How do you get around this, right? So from here, what I'm going to do is head down to the daily chart. Let's have a look. Here we are on the daily chart. I'm just going to fix my neckline of that smaller M structure. There we go. And then the next thing that I'm going to do in regards to the daily chart is to add my daily channel. So just bear with me, guys, while I do so. Let's have a look. Let's see. Daily channel. I would add it in this manner, more or less. Let's see. There we go. And remember, guys, we just need to ensure that our, or rather, whatever drawings that we add to our charts are as accurate as can be. There we go, right? So we can see, guys, that in as far as the daily chart is concerned, we are in a downward trajectory, and we should indeed be looking for potential selling opportunities. Having said that, just bear in mind that price at this point in time seems to be almost testing the neckline of that W structure that I spoke about on the higher time frames, right? Anyway, let's zoom in and let's have a look at the daily chart. So what do we see, guys, on the daily chart, right? So on the daily chart, just to recap, guys, remember on the weekly chart we spoke about how we have this M structure, right, which has a neckline over here. On the monthly chart we spoke about how we have that huge W structure, which has a neckline at that point, right? And I said to you guys that buying or selling at this point is a bit risky, and especially in regards to the higher time frames, such as the weekly chart as well as the monthly chart. But now that we are on the daily chart, let's try to find a way of getting around this. What do we see on the daily chart? So on the daily chart, guys, as much as we have this M structure, we also have an opposing W structure once again, which similarly has a neckline more or less at this point. Can you guys see that, right? And as I said to you guys, that whenever we have W structures, right, we want to see price breaking to the upside of that neckline, heading back to the neckline to test it, and at that neckline is where we would look for potential buying opportunities. So similarly, we expect price to head to this point to test it, and we might potentially look for buying opportunities at this point. However, it is still very much risky, and that is because we have this M structure, as I said, which also has a neckline at that point. And what may actually happen is, as much as the anticipation may be for price to break above the neckline, head back to the neckline, test it, and then push further up, what may actually happen is that because we have this opposing M structure, which has a neckline at this point, price may head back to the neckline, and at the neckline it may push further down, right? So in conclusion, guys, I think it's risky right now in as far as buying or selling BTC at this point in time. In my humble opinion, I would not be buying, I would not be selling in regards to the daily chart. Having said that, let's head down to the H4 chart and see if we can potentially get away with this. So here we are on the H4 chart. I'm just gonna fix my channel. Just bear with me, guys, while I do so. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. That seems accurate, right? And just to recap, guys, remember that on the daily chart we spoke about how we have this huge M structure which has a neckline at that level, right? And we also spoke about how we have an opposing W structure which similarly also has a neckline at that level. In fact, let me just add a neckline to that level so that we don't forget about it. And I just hope that, guys, my lines are not too confusing. All I'm doing at this point in time is making sure that we don't forget in terms of what's happening on the higher time frames as we move down to the lower time frames, because that's very much important, right? And remember, guys, on the daily chart I spoke about how we have a W formation at this point. However, looking at it on the H4 chart, we can see that it has expressed itself as a triple bottom, as you guys can see, right? Nonetheless, it's still risky in regards to buying or selling at this point, right? So in conclusion, guys, I would say don't buy or sell Bitcoin at this point in time. Do not buy or sell Bitcoin at this point in time because it is too risky. Just to go back to the daily chart, remember that in fact, let me go back to the weekly chart. Remember that we also have on the weekly chart this level over here, right? And I said that it is a level of liquidity, and liquidity represents money that needs to be triggered by the market at one point or another, right? So at this point in time, I would advise you not to buy or sell, and I would say that just to go back to the weekly chart, let's see, weekly chart, I would say it may be best to actually wait for the market to reach this level over here and then potentially look for buying opportunities, right? But right now, as things stand, I would not say, or rather I would say, do not buy and do not sell. Just wait it out and see how things unravel over the couple of days and even weeks. And remember, guys, we are at the end of the year, more or less, and there's going to be a lot of up and down movements over the next couple of days and even weeks. So it may actually be best for you to wait for the market to open up in January, and then perhaps in January you might look for a potential buying or selling opportunity, right? But just to reiterate, at this point in time, I do not see any buying or selling opportunities because things are just too risky in my humble opinion. So save your capital and wait for the perfect time to strike, and then do so when the conditions are right. So that is it, guys, as far as my analysis goes in regards to Bitcoin USD. If you have any further details, or rather if you have any further questions, just let me know in the comment section. And if you like the content, just remember to like and subscribe. Thanks, guys, and peace out.